and wait at the trees on the same side of the street on South Cayuga and Green Street. We do not cross Green Street unless necessary. Those with restricted mobility, in the event of emergency, it is best to move to one of the stairwells, and first responders will arrive to aid you. In the event of other emergencies, you will be notified at that time. We want everyone to be aware of their surroundings and offer help when it is not to your own detriment, as you are your own best advocate. Okay. So the commission will consider the following certificate of appropriateness applications for material change or alteration at tonight's public meeting. So we have 200 Highland Avenue, Cornell Heights Historic District, proposal to install a sign. We have 308 Stewart Avenue, East Hill Historic District, proposal to install a sign. And we have 102 Trip Hammer Road, Cornell Heights Historic District, proposal to replace windows. The applications are available for public view on the table at the back of the room, as well as on the city website. All interested parties will be given an opportunity at the hearing to address the commission concerning these applications. So we will start with 200 Highland Avenue, Cornell Heights Historic District, proposal to install a sign. Is there somebody that's going to?
So Greg Tombarello from Modern Living Rentals will be joining us tonight to discuss the proposal.
Okay.
They are two different properties.
So the link doesn't work for the second one. I got a sorry, but that page does not exist message.
Oh,
so I've not been able to review the second one. I did.
Okay, all right. So Greg, so you reviewed the application for 200 Highland and
yeah, but not 308.
308. Okay, I have a hard copy of the application. And Greg, whenever you're ready, if you want to present the project to the, you cannot hear me, I guess. Sorry about that, Greg. When you're ready, please present the project to the commission.
Sure. I mean, the long story short is that we wanted to put a sign out in front of our property at 200 Highland Avenue that indicates that the property is Modern Living Rentals property. I think that it's something that we've tried to propose, and I know that this has been on the docket for quite some time. But we found that, having our name on the exterior of the building is really good for our business in terms of, the marketing that it brings us in terms of our tenants. And so we'd like to put together a proposal for you guys, not necessarily just for this property at 200 Highland, but to try to get approvals on a sign that we could then put on a number of our other properties as well. So the proposed sign that we have, I believe, is a 3x4 sign. We were looking at going with brushed aluminum as the original proposed material. An alternative secondary material was like PVC material. And so we wanted to put it forth to the board to see if we could get something approved to be able to post a sign.
I had a question. In the material packet, you have one of your pages has a picture of the building, and then a 1, a 2, and a 3. Are those different proposed locations for it, or?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
When driving around town, you can't help but notice modern living rental signs on many buildings, especially in towards State Street and College Town and other locations. Why do you need a different sign approval? Were those do they have approvals, and is this a different, how is this different from your other signs that exist on many of your buildings?
We are looking to obtain approval for this sign. To my knowledge, I don't know that that's something that we've done in the past is apply for signs. And so that was brought to my attention for this project over at 200 Highland. And you guys, it was advised to me that we apply for this sign permit and seek approval for the signage.
It sounds like the sign size you're requesting is twice the size of your current signs. That might make it more difficult to fit in between a windowsill and a roof below, or the top railing and the bottom railing of a railing, or I think that the size, I'd like to discuss whether that size is appropriate for many locations on buildings. It seems a little too large. And why do you feel you need to have it larger than your current signs?
We think that these signs give our business good visibility. We think that we get a number of tenants who reach out to us interested in our properties because of the visibility of the signs. And I believe that based off of the provisions in the law, the size of the 3x4 12 square foot sign is something that's, available to us.
But for instance, in the photograph, location number 2, that couldn't fit if it was 3x4 because there's only 2 feet available from the windowsill to the roof below. So you couldn't fit a 3 foot by 4 foot or 4 foot by 3 foot sign in that location.
Certainly, I understand that. And we'd like to get a sign up there. It doesn't necessarily need to be 3x4. If you think that that's a good location for the sign, we'd like to get one that fits and looks nice with the property.
So what is your favored spot? Where do you want to be putting the sign, or don't you really care? It's just one of those 3.
I propose location number 1. It's just underneath the window. It's on the porch and it's to the left of the entrance door. I think that provides good visibility. And personally, I don't necessarily. I think in general that's a good location for an indicator of the property management company is for their name to be near the entry door.
Okay.
Is location 1, is that on the railing in the front, or is it on the structure of the building?
It would be on the structure of the building, not the railing.
Okay.
Your existing signs have a lot of information on them. I can blow this up. Modern living rentals, affordable luxury, now leasing for next school year. Visit our website, modernlivingrentals.com, info@modernlivingrentals.com, and a phone number. It sounds like the new sign is just going to say, where'd it go? Modern Living Rentals, and that's about it? Or are you proposing to reduce the amount of information on your signs?
Yeah, I'm proposing that we reduce the amount of information. I'm pretty sure that we're at a point now where just about everybody is carrying a smartphone in their pocket. And if they put, Modern Living Rentals into the search, our homepage will come up that will have all of that pertinent information.
And just for the record, again, the size of your existing signs, which are all over town, are, I believe, 36 inches by 24 inches or 3 feet wide by 2 feet tall. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to open to the public, please?
So moved.
Second? Okay, Avi. Anybody have any comments in the public or
I received no written comments on the proposal, and no members of the public have signed up to speak this evening.
Okay, motion to close public discussion, Bobby?
Second.
Yeah.
Question, I mean, I will, statement and then question, opinion. I think that the brushed aluminum is a far better option
Okay,
than the white PVC example would be, from a materiality standpoint. I think that if it goes on the porch the way it is, I don't, well, I would think that it's not going to be, because of the materiality, it's really not going to be as necessarily clear to maybe pedestrians. I think it'd be very clear to somebody who's entering the building that the building is labeled and the signage like that. So that would be why even at 3 by 4 feet, where it's located behind, it'll be behind a fence, right? It'll be behind the porch fence. It's not going to pop out necessarily in the same way as it would in another location, which I prefer. But I don't know if from my perspective, I understand that by the sign ordinance, you want to maximize it, but we also have to intersect with the law that we're trying to, that what we're responsible for, which is making sure that this is integrated into the neighborhood, right? This is a residential neighborhood. Most buildings do not have signs. I think that there can be a balance struck, but I don't think necessarily size maximization is the balance.
I do want to add that our design guidelines do speak to that. What is allowed by the sign ordinance may not always be the most appropriate size for a historic district, and so the commission does have the ability to talk about what an appropriate size sign is.
And in that case, I think this really will be on a building by building basis. I can appreciate from your business standpoint, it's more efficient from you if you can just get the go ahead on a 3 by 4 sign and it can get installed everywhere, but that's not how this works, right? This will be on a building by building basis.
right.
I mean, I prefer your new scaled down version. I think you're right. I don't think you need to include phone numbers and things like that. Those numbers may change. The websites may change over time, right? This could be more of a permanent, quasi-permanent branding. And I think of the 3 locations being proposed for this particular building, I think that makes sense. I think the most likely people to see it are people who are either accessing the building or who may be on the sidewalk in front of it potentially as well. So the 3 by 4 may not really be as necessary. There's a lot of blank space on that side, right? So I'm just going to throw that out there that I think we should talk about the materiality and location for this particular building and size.
I'd like to also point out that currently there are 2 signs on the building, one facing the road and one facing north. So is this proposal to have only 1 sign in the future?
Yes, yeah, those signs, I've requested our team to take down. They were put up, obviously without approval, and we'd like to get a singular sign up there that is something that's approved by the city, and those would be removed.
Well, sorry.
Oh. Yeah, I like the brush metallic sign as well. And yeah, I think that could be helpful for perhaps for proposals going forward for buildings. That's the kind of type of sign we prefer. If other people may have different opinions, I don't know. And yeah, as far as the size of it goes, it's interesting. It seems as though it would be more visible from the street if it was up above the porch, and a smaller sign would fit better in there. Is what it seems like in location number 2. So, yeah.
Well, I think from a visibility standpoint, it certainly would be. From it being a residential house in a residential neighborhood, there's no signage like that in the neighborhood or in the district. So I think, personally, I think 1 and 3 are the only ones that I would be willing to consider.
Right. I would agree that 1 seems to be the better choice overall. So what size, are you proposing to make a sign of that size and then make 10 copies of it and have it scattered around town? Is that the idea?
The goal would be to have a consistent looking sign for a number of our other properties. So if we were able to get approval on a size and material that was something that was comfortable with you, we would then put in sign permits for similar signs at our other buildings. That's correct.
Okay. So what do we think about size? If this is going to be approved and people are concerned about size, what size works?
It's kind of hard to tell from the picture, but what I would just say, whatever size doesn't feel awkwardly large where it's located. So sure, what spots 1 and 3 look good. They're tucked away under there. I think you made a good point, Caitlin. The larger sign could be fine if there was a big space where it fit in, but it seems as though, it shouldn't be overlapping any of the trim or anything else like that. As long as it's nicely framed out, then I don't care too much specifically about the specific size.
I don't think the elevation is really very accurately depicting the size. I think number 3 is probably much smaller than number 1, so it's not really accurately portrayed in this Photoshop, whatever it is. I want to say number 2 potentially could be blocked from the sidewalk by the porch roof. The visibility, if you're looking up from the sidewalk, could block the bottom part of the sign. I think it's more sort of traditional to have a sign by a front door, isn't it? Just if you're going to put a sign somewhere.
A name for a property or a date or things like that. Those will, right, Brian? Yeah.
And I prefer the size of your current signs, which are all over town, which are 3 feet wide by 2 feet high. I think you can notice them driving by at 30 miles an hour. I see them all over. And if the information's even more concise on the new sign, I think that's all you need personally.
That would work for me. I mean, those are 3 foot wide by 2 foot high, those signs. So we could get something that match here. And I think in location 1, that size would probably fit nicely by comparison to the larger proposed sign.
And as I said, I noticed one in Stewart Ave that fits right between the upper rail of the porch railing and the bottom rail of the porch railing, and a larger sign wouldn't do that. Or, for instance, number 2, it fits right between the bottom of the windowsill and the porch roof. So I think that size gives you more flexibility in locating it.
Okay. Any other concerns? Do you think we can go forward on the resolution?
I guess one concern is, are we approving this for any modern living rental building in any historic district or not?
No.
No, the applications for one particular property. I mean, and that to me is a bigger deal, is that what the size, I mean, I think that for the sake of them, I think we should tell them if we're okay with the design itself and the materials, even though it won't be official approval on any other projects. But I can appreciate from their standpoint, wanting to do a sign, and in some cases, it may need to be scaled down if the property is not appropriate, right? If there's not an appropriate space to locate a sign. So I don't have an objective problem with the materials. I don't have an objective problem with the design. I don't have a problem with appropriate branding. But I think it's all going to happen on a I would not recommend you go buy 10 signs in the same size. That would be my recommendation, is to not do that, even though you get a better price. Because for me, it would be on a case by case basis if what's the appropriate size. So, but material wise and scale wise, I think this can be installed without, at least on this building, without impairing the surface of the structure. That might not be the case on all the properties, and because I can't speak with authority on all of your different properties, but for instance, if you had a stuccoed house, this would not be I would not be supportive of installing this into the stucco necessarily. You might need to look at branding differently for a different property. So would throw that out there.
So, are we ready to move on a resolution? Okay, who would like to volunteer to read the resolution?
Well, have we come to a decision about the size of it? Seems like some people are okay with the size, but we want a smaller size.
Well, we were talking about, for this particular one, 3x2, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay,
And add that as a condition that the sign be sized as a 3x2 or 2x3 sign.
right.
Well, and I think frankly that we're only approving one right now. We'll see it up. This is a non-historic building, right? Or this is right, isn't this their new build?
Yeah.
It's the new build.
This is the new build.
This is the new build, yes.
We'll see it on there, and if like everybody's horrified by the size, but it'll give us a point of reference for future. Or not horrified, I would presume it looks lovely, right? I mean, that would be the hope, of course. So we can see it on this one. And
Well, as I've said many times, there,
there are all
that's the size of all their other signs all over town, so we
Mhm.
we kind of know what size that looks like from the street. So it's-
Yeah,
better material.
I think I'm sure ready to go forward. Just in general though, it would be nice to have a more accurate photo, like some people were saying, just because it does, this isn't how it's going to be in front of the fence or in front of the column. It's going to be on the wall, but like in spot number 1, for example, but it just looks so awkward where it is right there. It's hard to be sure that it's going to be framed out nicely and not awkwardly overlapping trim and columns or things like that, that it would be nice in the future to have a more detailed picture showing exactly how it'll be framed out.
Okay.
I know the applicants, one of the intents behind the proposal was to present something that could be to streamline the approval process, because I think at this point you own several dozen properties in the historic districts. Is that correct, Greg?
Probably around a dozen in the historic district. And we also, there's other properties that we're going to want to update our signs in the non-historic district, and we wanted them to be consistent throughout. In terms of going through this process again, I want to be mindful of your guys' time. And so, I'd propose to Brian, maybe this is something we could approve at the staff level, or if we're comfortable with size and materiality, we could put together proposals of locations for each of those buildings when we put together permits for them. And hopefully we could go through them, in quick fashion.
Yeah. I was thinking about project load for the commission, and I thought it was more than just 12 properties, but it seemed like a lot of public hearings and a lot of commission time spent on what could be just identifying the location of the sign on the property. But I think the best way to move forward tonight is to approve this sign, see it installed. That will give the commission an opportunity to review it and bring forward another sign proposal for another property that is the same size, as the same material, and propose a location. And if we can, as a commission, you can get comfortable with how they're locating them and the size and scale, then perhaps you review a quarter of them, and then the other quarter could be staff approval for the location on the property.
Yeah, I mean, I also would feel comfortable if there was, like, if they decided they wanted to come forward with all other 11 of them or whatever it is, of saying, this logo, this style, this material, and then defer to staff on size and final location. No, the signs being no larger than 2x3.
Mhm.
Because I think this is one of those things that it's really eyes looking at the building of like, where is the proper, how does it fit into the neighborhood? Where can you appropriately label the building in a way that's not turning this into frankly, commercial advertising area.
Right.
Even though to some degree, that's what it is
Mhm.
serving as. but again, not having, then we won't slow you down either.
Yeah. And they're also not the only property owners in the city that have these signs, and so we may in the future see other applications. And so if we could create a process as a commission to, you know, approve a style, approve, you know, a size, and then allow staff to review them, it would, because if not, I could see a lot of non-compliant signs coming for review and just having the commission being inundated with,
That's terrible. Let's not do that.
okay.
Okay, who would like to read the resolution?
Sure. Let's see. Okay. I'll start in the resolved section. Resolved that the ILPC has made the following findings of fact concerning the property and the proposal. As identified in the city of Ithaca's Cornell Heights Historic District summary statement, the period of significance for the area now known as the Cornell Heights Historic District is 1898 to 1937. As indicated in the New York State Building Structure Inventory Form, the Queen Anne style residence at 200 Highland Avenue was constructed in 1905, circa 1905, constructed within the period of significance of the Cornell Heights Historic District and possessing a high level of integrity. The property is a contributing element of the Cornell Heights Historic District. The proposal under consideration impacts the large non-historic addition constructed in 2024. In consideration of this and all approvals of proposals for alterations, new construction, or demolition in historic districts, the ILPC must determine that the proposed exterior work will not have a substantial adverse effect on the aesthetic, historical, or architectural significance and value of either the landmark, or if the improvement is within a district, of the neighboring improvements in such district. In considering architectural and cultural value, the Commission shall consider whether the proposed change is consistent with the historic value and the spirit of the architectural style of the landmark or district in accordance with Section 228-6 of the Municipal Code. In making the determination, the Commission is guided by the principles set forth in Section 228-6B of the Municipal Code, as further elaborated in Section 228-6C, and by the Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation, and in this case, specifically, the following principles and standards. Principle number 2, the historic features of a property located within and contributing to the significance of an historic district shall be altered as little as possible, and any alterations made shall be compatible with both the historic character of the individual property and the character of the district as a whole. Standard number 2, the historic character of a property will be retained and preserved. The removal of distinctive materials or alteration or features and spaces that characterize the property will be avoided. Standard number 9, new additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction shall not destroy historic materials that characterize the property. The new work shall be differentiated from the old and shall be compatible with the amassing size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historic integrity of the property and its environment. Standard number 10, new additions and adjacent or related new construction shall be undertaken in such a manner that if removed in the future, the essential form and integrity of the historic property and its environment would be unimpaired. With respect to principles number 2, standard number 2, and standard number 9, the proposed sign will not remove distinctive materials and will not alter features and spaces that characterize the property. Also, with respect to principle number 2 and standard number 9, the proposed sign is compatible with the size that we stated, compatible with the massing size, scale, and architectural features of the property and its environment. With respect to standard number 10, the sign can be removed in the future without impairment of the essential form and integrity of the historic property and its environment. Resolved that based on the findings set forth above, the proposal will not have a substantial adverse effect on the aesthetic, historical, and architectural significance of the Cornell Heights Historic District as set forth in Section 228-6, and be it further resolved that the Ithaca Landmarks Preservation Commission determines that the proposal meets criteria for approval under Section 228-6 of the Municipal Code, and be it further resolved that the ILPC approves the application for a certificate of appropriateness.
With the following conditions.
Yeah.
The sign shall. Right.
Excellent.
Max.
Do we have a second?
But no, I want there's two more. Material.
Oh, that's true, because they proposed two
There were two
materials.
materials proposed.
Aluminum.
And do we have a preferred location of the three proposed locations?
most commission members thought, location 1 was the most appropriate next to the door. Location.
Mhm.
I think it's probably worth including in there why. I mean, I think maybe it's language starts with the rate. Historically, like mentioned anything about the house or.
Traditional have signage near the entrance door.
Okay. Great.
Okay. Do we have a second, please? Okay, Caitlin. All in favor? Okay. Approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time tonight.
All right, next we have 308 Stewart Avenue, East Hill Historic District, proposal to install a sign.
So the applicant is not here this evening, so I will be presenting the sign proposal on their behalf. So this is a new restaurant that is going into 308 Stewart Ave. They are proposing to remove the existing signage on the, or this half of the property, and installing the projecting sign that is illustrated in their application. The sign meets the requirements of the sign ordinance, and the applicant will be working with the attorney's office to get permission to have it hang over the sidewalk.
My question on it was, how are they affixing that structure the sign will hang from to the building, because it is a brick building?
Brick building. So they will be anchoring it to the building. We can add as a condition that it is anchored into the mortar joints and not the brick.
I didn't have a problem with the sign. I think that it's removable in the future, provided there's that condition about how it's affixed, but very common to have signs like that historically, so.
Sure.
Looks like a very nice sign to me.
And the size is fairly small, 19 inches wide by something smaller height.
Well,
Just over 11, yeah.
And wood.
enough to let people know where the restaurant is. Yeah. Can we have a motion to open to the public?
Second.
No members of the public signed up to speak on the proposal this evening, and I received no written comments.
Motion to close public discussion.
Motion.
Second.
Any concerns, any comments? Okay.
It hangs parallel to the face of the building, not a knife. What's this called when it's perpendicular to the building? Knife blade sign. or
Oh, a
something?
blade sign?
A blade sign. It's parallel to the building. I'm still unclear how they're gonna handle that, but
No, it's perpendicular, right?
Was my understanding it was perpendicular.
I think they just showed that so we could see where it was. No, it's gonna stick out.
oh, well, it looks like it's parallel to the building. I just wonder how the bracket was gonna work if it was parallel to the building. I guess it doesn't really matter, but
Any other comments, concerns? Ready to move forward on this? Okay, who would like to read the resolution for 308 Stewart Avenue?
Take an easy one.
Okay,
Resolved that the ILPC has made the following findings of fact concerning the property and the proposal. As identified in the City of Ithaca's East Hill Historic District Summary Statement, the period of significance for the area now known as the East Hill Historic District is 1830 to 1932. As indicated in the New York State Building Structure Inventory form, the Italian Renaissance Revival style commercial building at 308 Stewart Avenue was constructed circa 1915. Constructed within the period of significance for the East Hill Historic District and possessing a high level of integrity, the property is a contributing element of the East Hill Historic District. And then I believe we've already had several of these read, principles and standards. We've already done principle 2, standard 2, standard 9, standard 10. So thank you. That made it easy. With respect to principle number 2 and standard number 2 and standard number 9, the proposed sign will not remove distinctive materials and will not alter features and spaces that characterize the property. With respect to principle number 2 and standard number 9, the proposed sign is compatible with the massing, size, scale, and architectural features of the property and its environment. With respect to standard number 10, the sign can be removed in the future without impairment of the essential form and integrity of the historic property and its environment. Based on the findings set forth above, the proposal will not have a substantial effect on the aesthetic, historical, or architectural significance of 308 Stewart Avenue in the East Hill Historic District as set forth in section 228-6, and be it further resolved that the Ithaca Landmarks Preservation Commission determines that proposal meets criteria for approval under section 228-6 of the municipal code, and be it further resolved that the ILPC approves the application for a certificate of appropriateness with the following condition. With that.
The metal support bracket shall be anchored into the mortar joints and not the brick.
So I'll move that.
Okay. We have a second. All in favor? Okay.
Did you say get to? Yeah. Make sure you get that. Yep.
Moving right along, we have 102 Trip Hammer Road, Cornell Heights Historic District, proposal to replace windows. Hello. I guess give a quick summary of what you're proposing to do.
Of the house. We're here a few months ago for the replacement of the porch windows, and we wanted to replace the remaining, including the stairwell window. We're doing these, they're basically just most of them sealed up now. Basically, each set of windows, most of them, one of the 3 panels. So,
They were in the packet.
They were there?
Oh, they were.
Okay.
They, in fact, that portion of the application was, where did it go? Anyway, lots of pages. I couldn't, so almost too many. I couldn't print, I couldn't really print them all out. It was yeah, it was 132 pages. So as a result, I really couldn't print very much out.
So when we dealt with your porch windows, I remember we actually had to go up on site and take a look at the situation. And I don't think we at that time looked beyond that. It was,
We did, I was trying to break it up, given the, given the expense of all this. Didn't want to, just come in.
right, okay.
Stages.
Mhm. Okay,
The windows on the porch were sliding windows or gliding windows. These are almost all casement windows, is that correct?
Also fixed case.
Also fixed casements. I couldn't really, I do have the copy of the quote where there's three wide, generally a lot of three wide casements. But then there's a photograph here of a three wide casement with smaller windows above. I don't see where they, how they fit into this.
Put in fixed cases, all in one main frame across the top, and the bottom of the operable casements with FIU. So what we take out the roof that comes this by the frame itself. So you're gonna end up with virtually exactly what you're looking at right now. Tops are not operable. They're fixed.
Now, would these all be molded in the factory as a single unit?
Yep. Yeah.
So how do they, where do they appear on the, or?
I think the upper. Yes.
So they're not factory molded as a single unit, 6 openings.
Three section units, those 2 3 section units would be factory. Then we've finished the exterior, exactly how we did the porch, by using the 5Rex adapter pieces like outside. Then we ripped down correctly. We're actually going to the wood frame, excuse me, outside.
Maybe you're getting a little ahead of ourselves here, but, and they also would have this,
Yep. Same as we did on the.
button, which I guess appears on the quote as full divided light FDL with spacer. And the grill pattern is. But I say maybe getting ahead of ourselves because the first thing with a window replacement is determine that the existing windows need to be replaced and cannot be repaired. And the second thing is determining whether the proposed materials and techniques of installation are going to match the existing as closely as practicable.
this is probably one of those situations where we would need to go on site, I would expect, because it's a fairly large project. And although we did do that for the porch windows, these seem even more significant.
Although the last time we had trouble getting enough people to show up.
Did you see
No,
that? Helped you out?
That sounds good.
That's a little different in that it's gliding window and these have strong horizontal and vertical mullions between the sash, which is different than the front porch.
Yeah, and on the front windows on the porch, the window literally ended in the stucco jambs.
Mhm.
On these, what we would be doing is we'd be carrying over wherever the frame ends on a new window, we would be using that snap-in adapter to carry it over into the wood jamb. So the whole wood perimeter on the outside would still remain there. As it does on the other ones, it's just you can't notice it on the other ones because that adapter covers it. But this is a little bit wider of a profile to cover.
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab my personal laptop.
When Brian gets back, I'd like to hear what his assessment is of the windows too, so. I'm wondering as a commission, if if we would have the ability to create like a process, because I mean, we have people come to us multiple times a year wanting to replace their windows, right? And it's like, I think it would be helpful for the public if they like knew that they were gonna have to do certain things in advance, like like we've expected property owners to document the window conditions, things like that. This is more of a blanket comment for properties while we wait for Brian, but I think it would be useful to be like, here's what the commission's going to ask you for on windows, right?
Right.
So that we can kind of make it more efficient.
Right, as I walked in, Caitlin, I heard you say that you had questions for me.
Yeah, I was wondering if you had assessed the conditions of the windows, because I think every time we do a window project, it gets to the point that Steve raised, which is, right, do they need to be, are they beyond replacement, are they beyond repair? And what's the appropriate replacement if they are?
I have not had the opportunity to personally assess these windows. When I met Alex on site early on in the last window proposal review, I did look at some of the windows, but I didn't have an opportunity to look at all of them. I did notice when I looked at those windows that there was missing glazing, some issue with paint, but I didn't see evidence of substantial rot, but I didn't, poke anything into the wood to see what was there. I was just doing a visual assessment.
It's where the glazing is missing, the compounder, where the most damage is on them. They're not all totally gone, they're single pane also, so you're only gonna get so much efficiency out of them. They're the original windows. I mean, they've certainly done their time.
Yeah, one of the reasons why we review windows so carefully is that the original windows were designed to be repaired. So that's why there's a threshold for, when has a window reached the end of its useful life, and that's why we're looking for substantial deterioration, something beyond what could be repaired or would be in the realm of a reasonable repair. Replacing glazing and painting, those are, these are not double hung windows, but, fixing broken sash cords, that kind of thing, are considered routine maintenance. Evidence of substantial rot, you have whole members missing, or deflection in the meeting rails, or issues with the stiles. Those are along the lines of the deterioration that the commission has looked at and been, agreeable to approving a replacement in the past.
So what I was saying while you were gone, to some degree, is I think it would be helpful if because we do get these types of window projects every year, right? I'm wondering if there's any way we can, since we were on an efficiency kick for one of the previous projects, I wonder if there's a way that we could make this process more efficient. Because frankly, I would trust staff to look at the window and say, like, you asked those questions. It can be difficult. To your point, I couldn't attend the porch meeting that the time that was picked wasn't doable. So I think it's hard on property owners to have special meetings scheduled. We can't do a regular meeting because we have other projects. I'm wondering if there's a way, and I'm not trying to put way more work on your plate, but it's a lot easier to schedule for one person, or if somebody else from the commission wanted to join you. I'm looking at you. To be able to say, hey, I checked X.
Right.
Exactly. But X, Y, I checked X, Y, and Z, and this is what I found. Because I get it, again, and this is not just this specific case, but there have been circumstances where we've had contractors say, like, there's no possible way this can be fixed. Then you get on site and you're like, well, yeah, it can. Like, these things can be fixed and repaired. So I don't know. I think you're an objective, very skilled professional who has the ability to assess whether or not something's more.
So Caitlin, you must have been reading my mind because you may notice later on the agenda,
I
the
did
topic of a commission retreat and the topic of that, my proposed topic is window replacements.
Well, it's not actually, it just says retreat. I did not know that was yours.
I just want to point, there's sort of a tendency on this commission to say, field trip, all right, let's go field trip. And then the time comes around,
Sitting-
it's impossible to schedule everybody there. And then it doesn't, we don't get a quorum, and then people couldn't make it or asking what was happened.
Well, that's an excellent idea, really, because we face this all the time, and it's difficult, it's true. I mean, we managed, I don't know how many of us showed up at the last time, maybe 4 of us, I'm not sure. Yeah,
Yeah, so we didn't have a quorum.
and we have great confidence in Brian, we have great confidence in you.
I'm thinking retreating. Somebody mentioned single glazing on the existing windows. Are there interior storms or?
Yeah, there's an interior storm that we switch out with screening.
On the inside of the casements? Because single glazing can get really wet in the wintertime, if that's all you have. But I was at a project in Maryland last week, and there were all these true divided light double hung windows on a sorority house that probably was from the 1990s. And a lot of them were failing. The glazing was failing and getting, dirt inside. So it occurred to me, at least one good thing about single glass, it doesn't fail to seal. That's because that's gonna be a very expensive job to replace all these little lights on that project.
So I tried to show. It's just a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Um,
Anybody have some notice of some kind?
Because the last time there was someone who sold the job and then didn't really work out the details. And then the person who installs the job doesn't work out the details till the job is sold. So there was sort of a discontinuation between the first part of the project and the second part of the project. In terms, I think, I remember you coming in and saying, well, we'll just take out the blind stops. No, there's no blind stops. Well, we'll just take out no, I mean, there's basically a storm sash set in a wood frame. That's all it was. So, yeah, these are more normal. And the other thing I asked for last time, and I know Alex had to keep coming back, was I'd love to see like a head detail, jam detail, meeting mullion detail, sill detail, existing and proposed side by side. So this is what the existing is, this is what the proposed is, and you can compare, sizes of sight lines you're gonna get and everything. So instead, we got like 92 pages of everything that Renewal by Anderson can do everywhere in the world, but it's not really these windows on this location with this stucco, with this trim detail. So that's what you can describe to us what you're gonna do, or you can drop.
So how do we get past this first step, which is to determine that these windows need to be replaced? That's our first step. Now we have this retreat coming up where all that's going to be defined, hopefully, but what about right now? How do we handle this one?
If it is a smaller group of the commission that wants to meet on site to review the windows, that makes it easier to schedule, and also allows more flexibility in timing, because if we don't have quorum, we don't have to advertise it as a public hearing, or excuse me, a public meeting. And so if the people who want to attend are available tomorrow, we could schedule that as long as we were not quorum. So, if people feel comfortable with a smaller group of commission members going out to review the windows, we can work on scheduling that review. Obviously table the application for this evening in order to schedule that site visit.
That seems reasonable.
Would be nice to see the other windows that were put in as well, see what the material is like. So that's the other trust.
Yeah. So I'm working.
It looks like the sash is pretty deeply set back from the, pretty deeper than say normal. I guess that's true. With casement, you probably have a stop on the outside.
Recording in progress.
Okay. So I guess this is kind of fuzzy. That's displayed on the exterior.
So tonight we're going to table and hopefully get a on-site visit fairly soon. Is that
Yes.
our hope here? What works for you?
So I'm.
Yeah.
They don't, but I can.
A lot of times case and no, verticals do not. And neither does that. I have to do, I can't take apart a window to diagnose certain things until I contract. Once I do, I pop off the inside molding and make sure that there's nothing. See, trust me, I see white, I see all kinds of stuff with those. As long as most likely, because the other sets come through, sets together. That's the interest. Yeah, so my question is how you can preserve this deeply set window condition. You can't, the only way you can preserve the depth is on the outer perimeter. But those ones, oh well. I'm gonna get more. But finding the future of these windows, hopefully safely set back into this crosswork of wood framing.
what the image that we have is the before. And this is the after the replacement. I missed the first one. Can you talk about it? I can toggle back. It is not seamless, but I can do my best.
This is the before here.
Yeah, the screen's in the middle, that's how you can tell one reason. Because the middle sash was operable at that point.
Okay.
Yes, it is. It is. Based on the conversation this evening, I think the next step is to set up a site visit for those that want to attend. I'm going to assume that we will not have quorum, so we can offer dates that are closer to this evening. And then from there, once the commission members that want to assess the condition of the windows have had the opportunity to do it, then we can return to continue the discussion.
Talk about not preserving much deeply recessed sash, all these casement windows, and more existing sill detail, existing meeting, mullion detail, existing head and jamb details, and then compare them side by side. How it's going to change. And
Yes. And I was going to suggest that for the next meeting and even the site visit, if you have the opportunity, having a sample of 2 units that are modeled together, so we can get a sense of that depth and how much might be lost as part of this project.
but it sounds like, yeah. I guess they'd be mullion together, yeah.
And there is that is the after.
But my concern is that existing storage tanks just stuck in a drain. It's like, I'm concerned that the
Mm-hmm. All right, so table it for this evening with the commission to schedule a site visit with you, and if I have your email addresses, I can include you as well. Okay. Yep. So if you
and Mark,
great.
I'm curious in talking about putting individual windows in there and keeping the depth. You said it would be more expensive and let's see, and what did you say? There'd be less window area? And so it'd be less glass area than what's currently there now?
Yeah, and new windows will have some less, yes.
Mhm.
Insert a window into a frame like that, you're gonna lose some glass.
Mhm.
You lose almost double that, if not more, if you put separate windows in each one, because those mullions, how wide they are now, it restricts the size, the make size of those windows, and where it's really noticeable is the top three, because they're so small now.
Mhm.
It's why we actually, one of the reasons why we manufacture a three-part gliders, three-part casements, is so you don't have separate frames all being attached to each other to eat up some of that visual area.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you.
Good night.
So let's see, next we have public comment on matters of interest.
So no members of the public signed up to speak this evening, and I received no written comments. And so
Okay,
one person in the audience, and I know they're here for another project. So
all right. We have approval of minutes. We have minutes.
they were in packet. If you don't have copies, then we can review them next month.
Yeah, I don't
Would you
think I
think,
saw them.
Someplace different than the agenda?
No, it should have been attached to the full agenda packet. So if they are not there,
They're,
okay, then I will distribute them and we can
I
review them
went
next.
through all 246 pages.
Okay,
Uh,
all right. So there are no minutes to approve this evening.
Then we have administrative matters, review, I'll leave my glasses on here. Review staff comments on the West State Street apartment complex.
So to offer a little background on the situation, while we admit some of the other members of the project team. This project, part of the funding for affordable units is a grant and required project approval prior to application. So to allow the planning board to complete their process, there wasn't enough time to return to a regular ILPC meeting with the information for the members to provide their comments. So to help the project move along, staff prepared comments, and that's what was in the packet for your review. The intent this evening is to have you review the comments and either agree with them, completely disagree, or make additional comments. The project team is here to answer questions if you have them. And then anything that comes out of this evening's discussion will be sent to the planning board as they continue their review at their August meeting. Has everyone had the opportunity to read the memo?
Yes.
Okay. Would anybody, you skimmed it, would anyone like a summary of the memo?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
great. So first, it summarizes the situation that this is an abnormal situation. Usually the commission would have the full opportunity to comment. The two historic resources that this project could potentially impact are noted. The first is the Elks Club, or the Elks Lodge, which is now being used by the Cornell Daily Sun. There's a bit of information about its history there, along with the history of the organization. The second historic resource is the Downtown West Historic District. Information about why that historic district was locally designated, and then also noting that the corner property, the integrative health building, the one with the stucco base and the clay tile roof, noting that that building is individually eligible for listing on the National Register. It is not individually listed now, but it is eligible. I then look at the size, scale, and mass of the building. I didn't feel that the building, its size, scale, or mass were a detriment to the historic character of either the Downtown West Historic District or the Elks Building. You know, it's for the Elks Building. There are other buildings in its vicinity that are 4 to 5 stories, so it didn't seem out of scale there. For the building, the buildings in the Downtown West Historic District, I felt that the ample setbacks of the building, the generous tree lawn, and the intent to plant large street trees really mitigated the height of the 5-story building compared to the 2.5-story building that are in the historic district. I then looked at materiality. They are very modern materials, but I thought that the details that were included in the project really spoke to some of the elements that you see in both the individual building, the Elks Lodge, and the Downtown West Historic District. The brick base in particular, and the detail there. The use of metal panels, but not flat metal panels, ones with both horizontal and vertical ribbing that add some architectural interest and depth to the building, features that you would see on a historic building, allowing it to fit in more with its historic neighbors. I did make the comment that in terms of materiality, there are a lot of colors. You know, typically a historic building has maybe 1 or 2 materials, and it's typically there's not in excess of blocked colors. You might, with a Queen Anne, have some intricately painted woodwork, but in general, it's the palette of a historic building is more limited. And so my recommendation was to create a cohesive color palette to kind of speak to those historic resources. I also recommended on the east side of the building that faces the historic district, there's a proposal to use fiber cement as a base for a mural.
Yeah, west.
West. Thank you, Steve. I know I can always count on you. And my recommendation was to use brick to reflect the brick base of the building, and also as a nod to the materiality in the historic district that a fiber cement panel is not the same level of quality of material that those you would find in the historic district. So those are the comments I made. First, are there any questions about the comments?
Generous tree lawn. Where are the generous tree lawns?
So pull it up. So they're maintaining here. They're large street trees, and then the building is also on the Albany Street side. Actually, street sides. It's pushed back sidewalk so that there is space there. Where it is not actual back grade space pushed back from the sidewalk, there's State Street. HD, you know. Like the brick.
So it currently is a brick paver area in that section. So we were planning on maintaining that in the same characteristic that it currently is. I will just add that because we have to elevate the building for floodproofing purposes, we're intentionally trying to make that ramp and that canopy over it to front more like a porch element on a building to help it with that additional step back for that facade.
saying that the stair tower west, that there's a mural on it. Maybe please brick, not a mural.
My comments were about the material, not about the mural. So, you know, there could still be a mural on that wall. One thing that's often done with historic buildings and murals is they're painted on panels and then mounted to the brick structure. I just felt that the fiber cement material was not its material quality as the materials found in the historic district. So it was not a comment about the mural, it was a comment about the material. So downtown west interfaces with, let me pull up so it is across the street from the integrative health building.
Did you see those building context elevations? I think the two buildings on the right are both in the downtown west. Is that correct? Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. Perhaps you want to introduce yourself. If there's anything that you would like to add.
Yes. Yeah, sure, absolutely. My name is Bear. I'm with Holt Architects. We're representing INHS on this project. We just want to thank you, first of all, for your time of reviewing this and taking a look at it. And I recognize that the schedule and the timing is not necessarily the preferred path, but we appreciate the understanding and the accommodation to help this process along to be successful. Our goal through all of this was to try to be a good neighbor to the property and serve the public as best as we can. And I would just say that we tried to, as thoughtfully as we could, embrace a lot of the colors and materials in the surrounding neighborhood, apply them to the building, try to have something contextually that fits in with some of the more modern things that we are seeing while respecting the historic and preserving aspects of that simultaneously. That's always a tricky balance to strike, but I think our team has done an excellent job trying to find that balance. And we're happy to help try to address any of the concerns. I would just add that regarding the stair tower, we are looking at the fiber cement as a better substrate for the mural itself. While we do quite often see graffiti and different murals on brick, painting over brick can be quite a detriment to it in terms of its longevity and lifespan because it doesn't allow it to dry out properly. And given the height of the stair tower, it poses future safety concerns. And that was one of the factors that we were considering when we decided to make that choice.
And that is, I think there was a bit of confusion about my comment. So I think my intent was not to imply that the mural should be painted on the brick. It was to be painted on something that could be mounted to the brick.
Understood.
So that, you know, if the mural deteriorates and there isn't an opportunity to replace the mural, you're not having a fading mural on the side of a building. You have the opportunity to remove it if you want, and still have a material that's highly compatible with the historic character of the neighborhood. I really like the mural. I just
No, understood.
but no, it was my intent was not to imply that you paint the brick because you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Painting brick is a terrible
Yeah.
idea.
It's amazing what we find or people found interesting from murals 50 years ago and what we would do today. So I can guarantee you if you're now something like taste will change, things like that, those are very like more of the moment than permanent components. So I'm excited about that. I mean, I think that I would also agree with the and so thinking you know,
It, if I may add, so the choice between the two primary tones of the building facade, as we explored a number of options internally with the team, from our standpoint, we felt like this was a good way to respect the historical contents in terms of massing. With the adjacent neighborhood, we were concerned that one primary color for the entire facade, while I do agree with Brian, is traditional with historic buildings. We were concerned with the massing of everything in the neighborhood being of a smaller scale, that doing a single color would make it stand out more as opposed to recessing a little bit more. That was at least the intent that we were trying to go for.
So these rainbow walls, is that where the murals gonna go?
Yeah, so
and-
one is on the outside of the west stair tower.
Uh-huh.
And then the other one is going to be inside the stairwell on the back wall. So you would see it through the glass like a shadow box.
Okay. And I'm just curious, is it gonna be some sort of rainbow color like that, or is that just sort of like a placeholder image?
Placeholder, TBD.
Okay.
Obviously, there would have to be an approval process on the murals themselves. But at this juncture, we wanted to feel confident in the building prior to selecting the material, the murals themselves.
Okay. Well, I like the idea of adding some color and making it a bit more interesting building than some new developments that are so bland, in my opinion. And sure, perhaps historic colors don't match that as much, but when I see historic buildings too, sometimes I just want them to be colored more. Being in San Francisco, living there in all the Victorian houses, it was so beautiful, and so many buildings aren't colorful enough here, in my opinion.
The final part of that, the fiber cement panel cladding, that's what you,
But that was my recommendation. Again, our review is advisory. So I believe at this point, both the planning board and the development team are choosing to stay with the fiber cement. But if commission members feel strongly that it should be another material, they can also make a recommendation that it be a different material.
I've got these little baby elevations. It looks like, so under the first story on the hill behind the ramp is brick.
All brick, and it's true fair brick.
Wraps the west end and east ends. Or, I don't know if that's a section.
Yeah, everywhere on the first story is entirely brick, and then the stairwell in the middle between the two main masses is also brick going vertical there.
So I'm just wondering about wrapping the west staircase at that same level with brick and not starting the panels or rainbow a little higher. Does the brick wrap underneath the drive-through as well?
It does go under the drive-through as well. Yep,
So it's all the whole floor except for that one stairwell.
correct.
So I'm just wondering, are we going for a vertical lane? Are we going for a brick base of the whole building? Put that out there as a comment. Then Brian could get his brick stairway. It's not really our purview, I guess, but it looks like there's been changes to the kids' play area, seating area, some other things like that. Looks like there's clear from the previous submittal.
Yeah. Potentially, I would have to go back and review what we had shown previously, but we did make some changes in that area. In particular, there was a planning board comment about the positive benefits between seniors and child daycare and interactions with that. And so that's why we expanded that and tried adding a little seated area next to the play area. What we may have previously shown is, I think at one point in time, the dumpster location was on that side, maybe not in that particular area, but it was tucked under the building on that side. We've now moved it over to the west side. And so it's recessed a little bit more under the building and less visible.
So tonight we are being asked to,
It would just be a vote of support for the comments or a vote of non-support for the comments, and then, any additional comments that you'd have from there.
I still call it the alternative federal credit union building. I don't know how long it's been integrated. Now, there it is. Like the home dairy building, many names.
That have many names.
I helped build the handicap ramp on that one.
so the only thing that's really kind of out of step with what's being proposed is this fiber cement panel aspect. Why was that chosen rather than?
It's twofold, but one aspect is from a cost point perspective. Fiber cement is going to be cheaper to install than the brick in this situation, and especially so that's one aspect of it. Then the other aspect was it's a better base material for applying the mural to, so that the mural lasts longer, and it does provide the opportunity of, if there needs to be changes with the mural down the road, they could either paint over it, or if things need to be touched up, it's a lot easier to handle. With Brian's suggestion of like having something on top of the brick, while I think visually that would be very, very nice, the concern is that is yet just an additional cost for an affordable project. So we try to be very strategic with our brick location to maximize the absolute best utility that we can have, to have that durability, have that flood resistance, and really match in with the context. And then that's why with the upper floors, you're seeing a material change there as well from an affordability standpoint.
If we decide, yes, this is wonderful. Except for the brick versus the
Yep.
other, yeah. What do? We just say, well,
If you agree with the memo or the content of the memo, except for my comment about the brick, then you say we agree with the comment except for the comment about the brick. We think Brian is wrong, and we do not support that suggestion, that recommendation. If you think the content is fine, then you just support it as is.
Aaron's here.
I didn't have any problems with Brian's. I mean, I think the unfortunate thing about how this process works is by the time we get to make comments, it's so far settled that it's really perfunctory as opposed to substantive. And that's just where we are. That's not a criticism of you. That's not a criticism of your project. It's just a process. So I would be of the mind that I think Brian's memo was very good. It'll be listened to or not. It probably won't be, because everything I would imagine is pretty locked in at this point. So I'd move on and.
Sounds good. Okay. So what do we do here? We just. Pardon me?
No. I understand mural. Like, so I back the memo as is.
Okay.
So we would need a motion to support the memo as is, and then a second and vote on it, and then we can again.
Do that, please, to support the memo as is. Do we have a motion?
I'll move that.
We have a second. Favor? Great.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
these comments were shared with the planning board at their last meeting. What I will do is just send a memo to the planning board saying that they were supported by the members of the commission.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You as well. Thanks for your time tonight.
And last we have ILPC retreat.
All right. So, okay. Do you want to do your item first, or do you want to?
Let's go first.
Okay. I was going to recommend that we set up a retreat to talk about window replacements. I watched two really interesting webinars recently. One about window assessment and repair, and another about how how other communities are handling window replacement projects and allowing more flexibility with their window replacements. For various reasons, I think it would be an opportunity for us to learn what the communities are doing, and give us some food for thought on how to move forward and maintain our policy or change it. The other thing is, that tonight, window replacement proposals, they come in each time you request information, coming up with a standardized list, a standard window replacement application, something that makes it easier for an applicant to understand what the commission is looking for. Oftentimes, there's a disconnect between what the applicant understands as the working of the commission and the criteria they use to make a decision is versus what they you're completely. So thank you.
Well, they always say we're going to look and sound. I think it's always good to dig a little deeper.
And a window is always fixable. Just depends on how long you want to take and how much money you want to spend.
Right.
You can replace every bit of wood and every bit of glass if you wanted to rebuild it.
Well, how would it work too? Because, I mean, it's not that we don't consider energy efficiency because we don't care about energy efficiency. That's literally outside our purview.
Right.
And we talk to property owners, like, I'm glad you brought up the internal storms. I mean, I beat this dead horse one more time, but an internal storm was the original repaired window. They work as well as new windows.
Yes, yes.
So, most of your energy loss is not through your windows. It's hard to tell someone that when it's 20 degrees outside and you have a breeze coming through your window. That being said, I mean, how would we even I'm open to considering other things. I just wonder how we could do that with the law that we have.
And that's what the webinar talks about, how those communities have been able to structure that. So
In terms of suggested submittals, would be floor plans, pointing out the windows they want to replace.
Inventory, yeah.
Recommendations, pointing out the windows they want to replace, so you can each go out and see which windows they're talking about. Because when it says office west, you don't know which is the office. And I keep wanting.
I do. I do. Yeah, so many contractors their availability is limited. The ones that, so as a city employee, I'm not allowed to recommend or guide people. But what I can say, these are people that do this type of work. I oftentimes refer people to Historic Ithaca. They also have a list. But those contractors that I have, said that they do their work, they tend to have availability.
I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of times they want to replace their windows because it just seems like a more direct path towards getting replacement windows than finding somebody to fix it.
There's a group out of Rochester.
Yep. Talus Restoration.
They do good work.
I wonder how
I think
interior storms looking insulation does compare to like a double pane window. There's other difficulties with double pane windows. Oftentimes they fog up.
Yeah, that's
Yep. That's expensive to fix. So these are really great things to discuss at a retreat. And the webinars that I'm going to recommend that we watch talk about both situations, repair, restoration, energy efficiency of those repaired, restored windows.
Do you have a proposed location for it?
I don't have a proposed location. It would need to be somewhere with internet, the ability to project or show a webinar. But I don't have a proposed location.
We've done it at the lake before. There is internet there, but that becomes weather dependent because we're now getting to the end of summer. So
Yeah.
it starts getting cooler down there.
That could be, listen, I could show you some windows with the interior storms and some that are currently brought down, but I looked at them and replacing them, fixing them.
So when I circulate the poll for, I will check in with both of you about availability of your locations, and if one of them works, then we will, when we organize the retreat, we'll set a location too.
Good.
Right. So that is the end of the discussion of the retreat.
I want to bring up that saw this article in Ithaca Times. Ithaca works toward a joint historic preservation program with the city of Ithaca, and it looks like the joint Ithaca Landmarks Preservation Commission is getting closer and closer. So
It's close. It is being discussed by elected officials on both the city of
July 30th times. Also, this historic preservation process on the community. And 8 points. Yes.
Uh-huh. Let's hope.
Pretty good.
We had a meeting about it. At this point, no, the commission members do not need to fill out those materials, those forms. You may in the future have to do it, but as of right now, today, no, we do not. The city is looking to reform the process. One of the ways that they're doing it is having board
Okay. Anything else? Should we have a motion to adjourn? Sure. Avi, Caitlin, okay. Well, 7:30.